She told me she needed space, so I gave her what she asked for, along with a silent exit, a wiped-out bank account, and an empty home. She never saw it coming. She thought I'd beg. Instead, I vanished and left behind just one note. You wanted space. Now you have it. I never imagined I'd be the kind of guy who'd tell a story like this. I used to think things like this happened to other people, guys in tabloids or bad movies. Not someone like me, not to my marriage. My name's Mike, and for most of my adult life, I believed in loyalty. I'm not a saint, but I've always played it straight. Married young, built a steady career in IT consulting, bought a house in Austin, and thought I'd done everything right. My wife Emily and I had what people called relationship goals. But over time, that picture-perfect life started showing hairline fractures. It began quietly, so quietly I almost missed it. At first, it was just the schedule changes. Emily started staying late at work more often. Client meetings, she said, last-minute deadlines, things that made sense in isolation. I didn't push back. People get busy, especially in competitive fields. But then the excuses got sloppy. She'd leave early and come back even later. Her stories were vague. Her texts grew shorter. Sometimes she didn't respond at all. Then came the shift in how she presented herself. Emily was never one for dressing up unless she had to. But now she was suddenly investing in designer clothes, expensive perfume, and makeup tutorials. Not for me. I barely got a glimpse. I joked once, "What, you got a new boyfriend or something?" expecting her to roll her eyes like she used to. Instead, she laughed in a way that didn't feel real. It wasn't playful. It was mechanical, like she was hiding something behind the sound. Still, I brushed it off. I wanted to trust her. We'd been together for 10 years. 10 years doesn't vanish over a new lipstick in a few late nights, right? But then she locked her phone. We'd never needed passwords before. It wasn't a rule, it just wasn't necessary. We were open, trusting. That changed without warning. Suddenly, her phone was locked tight. When I asked why, she shrugged and said, "It's for work." That's when something snapped. Not because she locked it, but because of how casual she was about it. Like it was no big deal. Like I didn't deserve to question her. After that, the cracks widened. She stopped asking how my day was. We stopped watching our favorite shows together. Physical affection dried up. Kisses became pecks. Hugs became side shoulder pats. And bedtime felt like sharing a mattress with a stranger. She stopped laughing at my dumb jokes. She stopped noticing when I stayed late at work or skipped dinner. The silence between us grew so loud it was impossible to ignore. Still, I didn't go snooping. I'm not the type. I told myself maybe she was overwhelmed. Maybe the relationship was in a rut. I even planned a weekend getaway to try and shake things up. She canceled last minute, said a big meeting had been scheduled. I believed her. Until one night something changed. We were having dinner and I was talking about a client call that went sideways. She wasn't listening. Her eyes were on her phone, fingers tapping like she was texting under the table. "Everything okay?" I asked. She looked up startled, like I'd caught her sneaking out the back door of her own life. "Just a message from work," she said. I didn't believe her. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and finished my meal in silence. But inside, I was already rewinding the last few months in my mind, matching the patterns. A part of me didn't want confirmation. I didn't want to be the guy who finds something he can't unsee. But the truth has a way of forcing your hand. That night, while she showered, her phone sat face down on the nightstand. The temptation was crushing. My brain screamed at me to pick it up. Just check. One look. But I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I stared at the ceiling, heart pounding, counting every drop of water as it hit the tile floor in the bathroom, trying to convince myself I was overthinking it, that I was being paranoid, that this wasn't what I knew deep down it was. But it was. It absolutely was. What I didn't know then was that this wouldn't be a story about betrayal. It would be a story about precision, about control, about what happens when you stop reacting and start planning. She had already decided what she wanted. She thought she had time, thought I'd wait around, maybe cry, maybe fight for her. What she didn't realize is that I'd already made my decision too, and mine was going to hurt a hell of a lot more. I finally checked her phone on a Tuesday night. I'd told myself 100 times I wouldn't, that I wasn't that guy. But when she fell asleep next to me, her phone still in her hand, I stopped caring about appearances. I needed the truth, and the truth was sitting there a few inches from me, daring me to look. She'd been careless. The lock code was the same one she'd used for years. I don't think she expected me to remember it. Or maybe she didn't care if I found out anymore. There were messages, dozens of them, from a contact saved under a fake name. The words on the screen didn't just confirm my worst fears. They smashed through every last hope I had left. I miss you already. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. Timestamps told me everything. While I was at work, with him, while I was on business trips, lying next to him, every moment I thought we were struggling together, she was off living a second life. And I'd been too blind or too trusting to see it. I didn't wake her up. I didn't say a word. I just put the phone back, lay in bed, and stared at the ceiling. The rage wasn't what hit me first. It was the betrayal. The realization that the person I loved most had looked me in the eye and lied over and over again. But I didn't confront her. I didn't demand an explanation, because I realized something important. She was expecting that. She was waiting for the blow-up, the yelling, the begging, maybe even tears. She wanted drama. She wanted control. So I gave her none. The next morning, I kissed her goodbye before work like nothing had changed. Her smile twitched for a split second. Maybe she sensed something. But I didn't give anything away. For 2 days, I played the role perfectly. Husband of the year. Calm, normal, predictable. While inside, I was dismantling everything we had, brick by brick. I started with the finances. I handled the bills in our household, so I knew exactly where every dollar went. We had joint accounts, but I had personal ones too. I transferred all my savings into a private account she couldn't access. Not a dime of hers was touched. Everything I did was legal, clean. I paid off the joint credit cards, then removed myself from them. Quietly, no alerts. Nothing that would trigger a red flag right away. Next came the services. Streaming, gym, subscriptions. Anything with my name attached got canceled or transferred. She wouldn't notice right away, but the charges would stop. The silence would grow, just like the one in our marriage. Then I handled the lease. Our home was a rental. My name was on the contract. Hers wasn't. She'd never bothered to deal with paperwork when we moved in. I used that to my advantage. I met with the landlord in private, told him I'd be vacating by the end of the month. I paid a fee to cut the lease early. He wasn't thrilled, but money solves most problems. He agreed. After that, I began removing my presence from the house, subtly, methodically. A few clothes taken to the office, my laptop, a watch. I'd leave with more than I came home with. She never noticed. Or if she did, she didn't ask. Why would she? She thought I was still sitting there, waiting for her to make up her mind. Then on the third night, she made her move. I was pretending to watch TV when she sat down next to me and said, "I think we need some space." I muted the screen, turned to her, and simply said, "What's up?" She took a breath, like she was about to deliver difficult news. She didn't know I already knew. "I've been feeling trapped," she said. "I think I need time to figure things out. I still love you, of course. I just don't feel like myself." Translation? She wanted the freedom to continue her affair without consequences. She wanted space, but she also wanted the safety of knowing I'd still be there if things didn't work out. I didn't flinch. I nodded slowly. "Okay." She blinked. "Okay. If that's what you need, I understand." She looked genuinely relieved, smiled even. She thought I was being mature, supportive. She thought she was getting everything on her terms. That's when I knew for sure. She had no idea who she was dealing with. Over the next few days, I went into final prep mode. I found a new apartment across town, small, clean, month-to-month lease. I made sure my new place was ready before I made my move. I moved my most important things there gradually, making sure nothing seemed out of place at home. I even cooked dinner a couple of nights just to keep up the act. She thanked me absent-mindedly, barely looking up from her phone. She thought I was trying to win her back. She had no clue I was already gone. The night before I left, she kissed me goodnight. It was quick, absent, meaningless. To her, it was just a routine. To me, it was a signal, a final confirmation that whatever love we once had was long dead. That kiss was the last lie between us. And the next morning, while she was out figuring things out, I walked out the door for the last time, without a word. No confrontation, no fight, no explanations. Just silence. I left without saying goodbye. Not out of spite, but because I wanted her to feel it. I didn't take everything, just what was mine. The essentials were already moved to my new place. I didn't leave trash or a mess. No angry note. No long letter explaining what she already knew. Just a small white envelope on the kitchen counter with a single line. You wanted space. Now you have it. That was all. She got home later that day. I imagine she walked through the front door expecting the usual. Me on the couch, maybe making dinner, trying to keep the peace. But this time the house was different. Quiet. Empty. No shoes by the door. No coat hanging on the hook. No sound of the TV humming in the background. Just stillness. At first, she probably thought I stepped out. A quick errand, maybe. Then she started noticing the missing things. Half the closet cleared out. My razor and toothbrush gone. Drawers empty. Nightstand wiped clean. She wouldn't have to look far to find the envelope. I left it front and center. That's when the calls began. The first one came about an hour later. I ignored it. Then another. Then a voicemail. Her voice sounded confused, almost annoyed. Hey, where are you? I just got home and I don't understand. Call me back. She didn't understand? Oh, she understood. She just never expected to be the one left behind. 30 minutes later, a text. This isn't funny. Where are you? Funny? I wasn't laughing. Then another voicemail. Her tone shifted. Less irritation, more panic. Okay, I get it. You're mad. Can we just talk, please? Talk? Now she wanted to talk? I turned off my phone. I knew what would come next. She'd start going through the checklist. First, the accounts. She'd check the bank app and see my name gone from every joint balance. Not a penny of hers touched. Just mine. Moved. Clean. Legal. Final. Then the credit cards. She'd realize I wasn't responsible for the bills anymore. That she was on her own. The gym membership canceled. Streaming accounts dead. Phone bill no longer my problem. And then the lease. She'd find the notice from the landlord taped to the inside of the door. Termination effective immediately. She had no legal right to stay. The house was no longer her home. It was a memory she'd never expected to end like this. By midnight, I received her final message. Just one sentence. Please just come home, we can fix this. Not I'm sorry. Not I messed up. Not even I love you. Just panic. Not for me, but for the loss of the comfort, the security, the backup plan she thought would always be there. I didn't respond, because I finally understood. She didn't want me. She wanted what I provided. The safety, the routine, the person who would be there when her fantasy fell apart. She thought she could replace the intimacy, the history, the shared dreams, with a few hotel room escapes and secret text threads. She thought I'd crumble when she pulled away, but I didn't. She gambled, thinking I'd fight for her, compete for her, prove I was better than whoever he was. But I wasn't playing that game. I had already won, not by stealing her back, but by taking back my self-respect. She wanted space, and I gave it to her, in full, permanent silence. That night I lay in my new apartment. No sound, no buzzing phone, no explanations waiting to be given. I hadn't realized how loud her lies had become until they were finally gone. I didn't feel bitter. I didn't even feel angry. I felt relief. The first 24 hours after I disappeared were quiet. I imagine Emily didn't panic right away. She was still processing, still convincing herself it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she thought I needed a night to cool off, that I'd come back ready to talk, maybe argue, but ultimately forgive. That's what she was banking on, that I'd still be playing my part when she was done playing hers. But as the silence stretched longer, the cracks began to spread. Her messages shifted from confused to desperate. She called from her number, then from a friend's. She left voicemails she probably never thought she'd need to record. At first, she asked me to come home. Then she asked me to just talk. Then she asked where I'd gone. That was the first real sign of fear. Not guilt, fear. Not that she hurt me, but that I might not be coming back. I didn't answer any of it. On day 2, I turned my phone on for a few hours. I wasn't tempted to respond. I just wanted to see how far she'd gone. There were more than a dozen missed calls, multiple voicemails, and a string of texts that read like someone losing control in slow motion. This doesn't make sense. We should talk. I know you're mad, but this isn't the way. Please. Where are you? Can we fix this? I need to talk to you. Please. But what stood out was what she never said. I'm sorry. Not once. Not a single acknowledgement of what she had done. Her concern wasn't about the betrayal, it was about the fallout, the inconvenience, the sudden absence of the life I had built and maintained. She never expected me to actually leave. That's when it really hit her. Around the 3rd day, I imagined she sat down to sort things out, and for the first time in a long time, she was on her own. She probably opened the fridge and realized I wasn't restocking it. Opened her banking app and realized she was missing half the income. Checked the bills and noticed automatic payments had stopped. She would have checked the landlord's letter next. That's when reality would have come crashing in. She wasn't just alone. She wasn't just abandoned. She was about to be displaced, financially exposed, and emotionally humiliated. And none of it was temporary. She called again. This time, she didn't even leave a voicemail. Later that evening, a long message came in. Too long to be spontaneous. She drafted it, rewritten it, maybe even had someone else review it before hitting send. It was full of justifications, half excuses, and subtle blame shifting. I never meant to hurt you. I was confused. We were drifting apart. You weren't as present as you used to be. I didn't know how to tell you. Then the line that stood out. But if you really loved me, you wouldn't have walked away like that. That was the moment I realized she still didn't get it. Love doesn't mean staying with someone who betrays you. It doesn't mean standing still while they lie, cheat, and manipulate you, and then expect forgiveness because it's convenient. Love isn't a leash. It's a choice. And I had made mine. I didn't respond. That was the last message I ever read from her. By the end of that week, she stopped trying, not because she accepted what happened, but because she finally realized I wasn't coming back. She had lost me, not in a dramatic, tearful breakup, not in a shouting match. She lost me quietly, in the same quiet way she started pulling away months ago. She just never expected I'd do the same, but faster and with finality. At work, I kept my head down. No one needed to know. I was still doing my job, showing up, getting things done. On the surface, nothing had changed. But inside, I felt different. Not broken, not numb, just clear. I hadn't run away from her. I had removed myself from a situation that no longer respected me. That distinction made all the difference. By now, Emily was left with a shell of what we had. An empty home, canceled accounts, no explanations. Just a note that said everything she needed to know. I didn't scream. I didn't retaliate. I didn't ruin her reputation or go public. I didn't even name the other guy, though I knew exactly who he was. I gave her space, the one thing she asked for, and she discovered what it really meant to be left alone. After the dust settled, I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel like I'd won anything. What I felt, honestly, was peace. The silence wasn't empty. It was necessary. My life no longer revolved around someone else's needs, moods, or betrayals. I wasn't checking a phone that never pinged back. I wasn't waiting for attention that never came. I was done waiting, done hoping, done shrinking. I didn't rush to fill the space she left behind. I wasn't looking for a rebound or a distraction. I needed something else entirely, clarity. So I spent time alone intentionally. I rented a modest apartment across town. Nothing flashy, just functional. A place that was mine, where everything inside served a purpose. There were no shared memories here, no ghost of what used to be. At first, the change felt strange. I wasn't used to cooking, for one. I hadn't been to the gym in years. Evenings stretched longer without background noise or forced conversations. But with each passing day, the quiet became less foreign. My time became mine again. I started reading books I'd been too distracted to finish. Went for runs in the morning without explaining where I was going. I rebuilt my routines, not to escape anything, but to rebuild myself without her influence. Friends reached out eventually. What happened? They asked. I told them what they needed to know. The marriage was over. No drama, no gossip, just facts. A few tried to press for details. I kept it short. This wasn't about revenge. I didn't need anyone's sympathy or outrage. Emily never reached out again. Not directly, at least. A mutual friend mentioned she'd moved back in with her sister. I didn't ask for more. I assumed she told her side of the story. Probably something about a growing distance. How we just drifted apart. How she made a mistake, but I overreacted. That's fine. She can tell it however she wants. I'm not in that story anymore. What mattered was how I carried forward. And I did carry forward. Work improved. I took on more clients, started managing a small team. I had energy again, the kind that comes when your home life doesn't drain you. I slept better, laughed more. Nothing dramatic, just small, steady returns on the decision to walk away. Eventually, I opened myself up to new people. Cautiously at first, no one serious, just conversations, coffee dates, the occasional dinner. Not to replace anyone, just to see what life might look like without the baggage. I kept things honest. No comparisons. No stories about Emily. That chapter was closed. But the most important shift wasn't external. It was internal. I stopped measuring my value by how much I could tolerate. I stopped calling loyalty a virtue when it was being exploited. I stopped thinking love meant self-sacrifice without boundaries. I learned something most people discover too late. Walking away isn't weakness. It's clarity. The strength isn't in staying and fixing something broken by someone else. It's in knowing when to stop handing over pieces of yourself to someone who treats them like scraps. Emily made her choice, and so did I. She thought I'd wait. She thought I'd forgive. She thought I'd remain in place while she figured things out. Instead, she came home to nothing, and I walked away with everything that actually mattered: my integrity, my peace, and the kind of self-respect you can't fake. If there's a moral to this story, it's simple. You can't control how someone treats you, but you can absolutely control what you tolerate. Betrayal doesn't always come with warning signs, but once it arrives, you have a choice. Not everyone needs to hear you scream. Sometimes the loudest thing you can do is leave quietly and never go back.